So I am going to be starting a new series, and it is working through this cookbook right here. This is the top 100 recipes from Betty Crocker. I thought it would be kind of interesting and neat to kind of work through cookbooks and bring back some of the old cookbooks that have just super awesome recipes in them. I get recipes off of Pinterest all the time, but how neat would it be to just work through some cookbooks that maybe some recipes you haven't seen ever or haven't seen in a long time, or maybe it's something that grandma used to make. So I'm really excited to try this out. And I know my husband is really excited for me to try this out. He loves when I make like grandma style meals, so he's very, very excited for this. He likes all things Southern, so I'm going to be adding in a lot of Southern recipes, a lot of things that maybe my grandparents made or his grandparents made for him as a kid. So I'm really excited about this. If you have any comments or if you have any ideas about any type of cookbooks that I should use or anything like that, please leave me a comment. I am up for all suggestions. I love great feedback, so just let me know what you think as I make these meals. Let me know if you make the meals and how they taste. So I hope that you enjoy these recipes. If you do, go ahead and give me a thumbs up. Grab your apron and let's get started.
Okay, for this caramel apple bread, we're going to start with a medium dish, and we're just going to add in our shredded apples. So we need about 1.5 cups or 2 large shredded apples, and then you're going to put in 1/2 cup of buttermilk in with 1 cup of packed brown sugar, 1/2 cup of vegetable oil, and then 4 eggs that were lightly beaten. And then we're just going to stir that up, give a good stir, make sure everything gets mixed through properly. Now we're going to add in 2 teaspoons of cinnamon, in with 1 teaspoon of salt, and then 1 teaspoon of ground nutmeg. Okay, and then we're also going to add in 3 cups of all-purpose flour, and then once that's added, we're just going to stir it, give it a good stir, make sure everything's mixed through properly, and that should be it for our bread cake part. That's it for the cake. And if you want to add in some type of nuts, you can add in nuts, or I mean, you don't have to. You can add in like some type of like caramel chips. You can add in just like whatever. For this video, I did add in 1/2 cup of pecans, and I just really think it was really, really good, and it was a good add-in for what I'm making here for this caramel apple cake. I did put this in a loaf pan, and I made 2 loaves out of it, and I put it in the oven at 350 for about an hour. And then once the bread was done, I went ahead and started on my caramel apple glaze. So I put in 2 tablespoons of butter, and I'm just melting that down. And then once it's melted down, I put in 1/4 cup of brown sugar, and then kind of mixed that through, whisked it through just to make sure that it gets well combined properly. And then once that's well combined, I'm just going to add in a tablespoon of milk, and then I'm going to take it off the heat there, and I'm going to add in my powdered sugar. So once it's nice and thick, I went ahead and took it off the burner, and I'm just going to put it in a separate bowl and try to blend it in with a a half a cup of powdered sugar, just to kind of thicken it up and give it a nice glaze on top. And I tried putting it in this pan and doing it, but realized that that is not going to work, and I need to blend it together with my handheld mixer. So I add in my powdered sugar. I put in just a little bit at a time with a little bit more milk, and just so it is like nice and fluffy, and it's so I can spread it on this cake much easier. All right, and once it's stirred through properly, I just put it in like a Ziploc baggie. I put all of that glaze on top so that I can just kind of drizzle it on top like that. And I do that for both of my loaves, and I will show you what it looks like in a minute. Alright, and once it was done cooking, this is what it looks like. It has such a beautiful flavor on top with that caramel drizzle, and the cake part was just moist and delicious. My whole family truly enjoyed this. And yeah, I'm trying to cut it without like getting it all sticky because the icing hasn't like dried properly yet. So always getting ahead of myself, I feel like. But just wanted to cut it and show you guys what it looks like. And I'm going to plate it for you, and it is so, so delicious. I hope that you guys try this one. Out of any of them, I feel like this one was the most flavorful. So if you try this, please let me know and leave a comment below. Let me know how it turned out. Next, we're going to be making banana bread muffins. So we're going to need 2 sticks of butter, or a half a cup of butter. And we're also going to need 1 1/4 cup of sugar, just regular granulated sugar is fine. And we're just going to blend that together until it's well combined. If your butter is too hard, you can always put it in the microwave for maybe 10 seconds and melt it just a tiny bit, just so that the butter will mix in with the sugar better. That's what I do sometimes if the butter is not, mixing well with the sugar. It just needs to be melted down a little bit more. You don't want it to be too melted, but just enough so it'll mix through. And then we're going to add in 2 eggs. And then we're going to mix that through to get that well combined. Okay, and now we're going to add in 1 teaspoon of vanilla. And then we're going to add in a half a cup of buttermilk. And then we're going to add in about 3 very ripe bananas. I think you can do about 1 1/2 cup, or you can do about 3 bananas. I had these very sad looking bananas, so I went ahead and used those. And then once that's added, we're just going to mix it through and get it well combined. And then we're going to add in some of our flour mixture. I'm not going to lie, when it's done mixing through with the bananas, it just looks really, really weird with buttermilk and bananas. But these taste amazing, so you have to try this. And then we're going to add in 2 1/2 cups of flour, and then 1 teaspoon of baking soda, a teaspoon of salt, and then we're going to go ahead and get that well combined and get the flour all mixed through in that mixture. And then after it's well combined, I'm going to add in about 1 1/2 cups of chocolate chips. You don't have to add in chocolate chips. You can add in really whatever. You can add in nuts. You can add in maybe like some cranberries. You can add in whatever that you want. this is just what I used. My kids love chocolate chips. I don't know what kid doesn't. So they always prefer it when I put chocolate chips in instead of nuts. And that's it. Everything is well combined. Everything is the way it's supposed to look. I did go ahead and add in some more chocolate chips just because I thought that it needed some more. And then once that was well combined, I just scooped this up in my cupcake pan, and this made about 24, 26, something like that, cupcakes. So we had plenty of cupcakes in this dough, and it made tons and tons. And I wanted to show you what they look like. And they were really fluffy, just very, very moist. And my kids just absolutely devoured these. Next, we're going to be making this Mocha Streusel coffee cake, and yes, it's as delicious as it sounds. So first, we're going to be making the streusel part, and that's 2/3 cup of semi-sweet chocolate chips, and then you have 1/3 cup of packed brown sugar, 2 tablespoons of flour, and then a tablespoon of instant coffee. And then we just mix this through, get it well combined, get all the flour mixed through properly. And then we're just going to set it aside as we start our coffee cake part of this cake. So we're going to need 2 3/4 cup of flour, and then 2 teaspoons of baking powder, a teaspoon of ground cinnamon, 1/4 teaspoon of baking soda, 1/4 teaspoon of salt. And then once those are all added, then we're just going to give it a little bit of a stir, and then we're going to set it to the side, and then we will start on our butter and sugar mixture. Okay, and in a large bowl, I'm going to add 1 cup of granulated sugar with 2 sticks of butter, or a 1/2 cup of butter. And we're just going to mix it until it's well combined, until the butter and sugar are nice and creamy. And now, since the sugar and butter are well combined, I'm going to go ahead and add in 1/2 teaspoon of almond extract, and then 3 eggs, but 1 at a time. So after each egg, I'm going to just stir it together to get that combined, and then I'll add in the other egg until all the eggs are well combined. And then after that, we're going to add in some sour cream. I know that sounds weird to a cake to add in sour cream, but I'm telling you, it's delicious, and you will absolutely love this cake. Alright, now that everything is well combined, we're going to go ahead and add in our flour mixture a little bit at a time. So we're just going to add in 1/2 at one time, stir it through, and then add in the other 1/2. And then once that's well combined, then you're going to add in 1 cup of sour cream, or 8 ounces of sour cream. And then we'll mix that through, and then that'll be it. have a bundt cake pan or like an angel food cake pan, I would definitely recommend using one of those. I don't have any of those on hand, so I just put it in this square or rectangle dish that I have. And I really wish I had a bundt cake pan, just because I was really worried about this not cooking right, just because it's in a smaller dish. But it actually came out really well, so I was really happy with the results of it. So you're just going to put in half of your dough mixture on the bottom, and then you're going to layer it with this chocolate chip Mocha Streusel that you made at the very beginning of this recipe. And then you're just going to top it with the remaining dough that you have. Try to get as even as you possibly can. And then once you have all that nice and even on top, and then you're just going to put the remaining of that streusel on top of that. And that's it. And then it'll be ready for the oven. I baked this in the oven at 350 for about an hour, 50 minutes to an hour. Just want to make sure that middle was cooked through. And oh my word, this was divine. You definitely need some coffee with this recipe. It was so, so delicious. It was very, very moist and just really spongy. And I think what would be even better, you don't have to do this, but would be even better, maybe some type of chocolate drizzle on top of it. Oh my word, so, so delicious. Okay, to start us off with this blueberry coffee cake, I'm going to go ahead and get started on this crumb topping. So to a small bowl, I'm going to add in 1/2 cup of granulated sugar with 1/3 cup of all-purpose flour and 1/2 teaspoon of ground cinnamon. And then I'm just going to stir that through. And then I'm going to add in 1/4 cup of softened butter and just kind of cut that through and get it well combined so that it's more of like a crumb mixture. So you just cut it through. You can do it with like a fork or like a pastry cutter. I don't know what you call that. A pastry knife. I don't know what you call it. Anyways, you mix that through, and as you'll see, mine's turning into more of like a crumb. They're more of like crummies. Yeah, I don't know if that's a word either. I'm just making stuff up as I go. Okay, and then to a medium bowl, we're going to go ahead and add in 2 cups of flour and then 3/4 cup of granulated sugar, and with 3/4 cup of milk and 1/4 cup of shortening, and then 1 egg, and then we're going to give that a good stir. All right, and now that everything is mixed through properly, we're just going to go ahead and add in our blueberries. And I did want to add that these blueberries, you really want to make sure that you put in like a little bit of sugar and with some lemon juice first before you add it to this, just because they're so tart. Blueberries are absolutely so tart. And so if I don't put sugar and lemon juice in with my blueberries, then when I make this cake, they just turn out to be super tart, and my family doesn't really like it like that. So I do add in some sugar, maybe about a third a cup of sugar in with it. And what you see here is I folded in my blueberries, and then I'm going to blend it together just to get them chopped up more so that you don't bite into a super big tart blueberry, just to make sure that it kind of gets spread out better. That's just my preference. You don't have to do it that way, but that's just how I do it. That's my preference. And then I'm putting it in this, it's not a 9 by 13 pan. It's like slightly smaller. I don't know, like an 8 by 11, something like that. And I'm just putting all of the dough into this cake pan that I have lightly greased. And once everything is nice and even, I'm just going to go ahead and put the crumb topping that we made earlier. Going to put that on top. And then I'm going to cook this in the oven at 375 degrees for about 45 to 50 minutes. And then I will show you what it looks like when it's all done. Here's the final product. It was so moist. It's beautiful on top. Oh my goodness, such a nice, lovely breakfast. And you can serve this with some fruit, and breakfast is served. Look at that, so good. Thanks so much for watching, and I hope to see you in the next video, and subscribe for more videos.